Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds podcast. I am your host tonight, Topher Sheeler. I am joined by the one and only Mr. Rob Adams.
What up, what up?
Guys, this has been a long time coming. I have not been excited to tell a story on this podcast, I think, in the entire time we've had it. This is one of the best stories I have ever heard. It is empowering. It is doing something that is truly changing the world. Rob, before I drop names, you got anything you want to add to that?
I just want you to know this is going to make a great movie. It's going to be a good movie. I can't wait to see it in theaters.
You're already picking out the soundtrack.
That's right.
Well, we are joined today by John and Nicci Renouard from the nonprofit Who Lives. Their mission starts with drilling wells in Africa. They've dug over 16,000 wells so far in Africa, but that's only just the beginning. Let's get a quick word from the sponsor and we'll jump right in. Utah homeowners, you cook with it, you drink it, heck, you even bathe in it. Don't you think it should be clean? That's right, I'm talking about your home's water. Here's the ugly truth. Your standard water softener only has one layer of filtration. It does absolutely nothing for the PFAS, chemicals, or toxins that are lurking in your water. It may feel better, but it does absolutely nothing for your health or your home's health. Our Blue Logic whole home purification system has 10 different layers of filtration to it to give you safe, clean, and clear water at every tap in your house down to the water molecule itself. Stop guessing at what that weird taste is coming from the tap in your house. Yes, there's going to be a difference. Give Blue Logic a call. Drink better and live healthier.
I love these guys. I love your organization. I love all the things that you're doing. I get emails from you. I look forward to it. Like, I'm on a lot of lists. But when I see Nicci roll across, I'm like, okay, let's see what's happening over there today, because you do a really good job on recapping what's happening in your nonprofit, Who Lives, an amazing organization. You guys have been around now, was it
15 years? Yeah, a little bit over 15 years.
Long enough to know better.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Dumb enough not to care.
And you, the thing that is amazing about Who Lives is it's not just a one facet focusing on food insecurity or water cleanliness or one thing. It's improving the overall life of people. And you've got a lot of different things, but you started out with kind of a, well, let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about your dream.
Yeah.
And how you got started.
You bet. Nicci, do you want to start on that one? You want me to jump in?
Absolutely. I'd love to share the story.
I know she does.
I'd love to share the story.
I'll let her share it.
I'll share a little bit of it, and then I'll let John share it as well. So really our journey started in 2007. We were living in Washington State, and John announces out of the blue one night at dinner, hey, guess what? We're moving. And we're moving to Utah. And we're moving at the end of this school year. And we were sitting at dinner with our 6 children. I looked at each of them and we just started to cry.
You cried too?
I cried.
Oh no.
We all just started crying.
Now, to be fair, it wasn't just out of the blue. We had known we wanted to move for quite a while, and we looked at a lot of different options. And the reality was neither one of us, we thought we might have to move out of state, but neither one of us really wanted to move back to Utah. We went to college here. And we really enjoyed where we were living, and so it was probably about a year and a half of trying to figure out where we needed to go when I finally it just kind of hit me that it's going to be Utah. So it wasn't like totally out of the blue, but I think
it was pretty much out of the blue that it was happening so quickly.
That's right now. The end of the school year is here.
It's here.
So what was it about Utah that had you just thinking this is the spot, this is the place, as they say?
John just kept having a premonition over and over, and he had actually come out a few times to check out job opportunities and to look at houses and things, but nothing really felt right. So we literally moved in our motorhome without a home to move into, and we moved into an RV park.
And how many of you were in this RV?
There were a lot of us, two dogs and 5 kids. So my oldest daughter decided, and 2 adults.
2 adults, some chickens, and a goat.
Yes.
Just to round it out.
Yeah. There's feathers floating around in there. That's great.
Yes. Our oldest daughter said, I want to finish high school here. She was doing community college at the same time, a running start type of thing. So I left her behind, which broke my heart, but you have to let them do what's best. And we moved here, and John likes to joke. I kept saying, why are we here? Why are we here for so many, many, many months? Because I didn't really understand the purpose for having to move to Utah
And the reality,
without
I
a
didn't,
plan.
yeah, I didn't know either, so.
How long had you been in Washington?
For almost 20 years.
Oh,
So
yeah. So that was
I'm a
home.
Washington native from Everett, where the big Boeing company is. We moved there. We basically raised our children there for almost 20 years. And it was a great life. I was PTA president. I was substituting school. John was coaching football. We lived on a water ski lake. We loved the greenness of it, the fresh air, the clean water. And so it was a pretty great life.
So here we are now
The dream.
in a RV,
right.
in a camping spot. And so
Right.
what was going through your mind then?
It was a lot. And honestly, I had to dig really deep. I could have said to John, well, have fun, write us every now and then, let us know how it's going.
I think you actually did say that.
Yeah, probably. But I just really had to trust in John and to have faith in him that he was doing what was important and what was best for our family. And that was a big trial because we had a lot of naysayers and a lot of friends, a lot of going away parties, a lot of tears. Why are you leaving? What are you doing? I don't know, but we're doing it. So
Wish us
we're
the
on
best.
our way. So we arrived in South Jordan in July of 2007.
Wow. Then what happened?
Well, then we were able to purchase a house, and my son, who's now 38, oh my gosh.
And life happened. You're getting old.
He got a mission call. He wanted to be a missionary, and he was called to the Kenya-Tanzania mission, which we were shocked because at that time we didn't realize that, white kids served in that mission. It seemed so far away and so remote. And he went, full of hope and enthusiasm. And while he was gone, we were following the news, and a lot of upheaval was happening.
Wasn't there a civil war that was going on?
Oh, man. People were...
Not quite a civil war, but they had elections, and the elections were contentious, and there was a lot of political violence and deaths because of the political unrest.
Wow. Amazing. So that was where your boy was headed.
That's where he was at for many, many months. He was confined to his apartment because literally people were killing each other with machetes, and it was very unsafe. 2 tribes were at war, and he had malaria multiple times. He had a lot of things going on, and he wasn't really telling us. I know he didn't want to worry us, but I determined right then, I think in 2008, that we were going to go back and see what he had experienced, which we did. John and I and another son, we spent 3 weeks in Kenya and Tanzania. We went to all the non-tourist places that our son had been in, and we just saw so much of the country and had such a feeling of empathy towards the people there, honestly, and their poverty situation. And then what we noticed mostly was that the girls were carrying jerry cans everywhere. Those, what we'd call fuel cans, the yellow buckets. Mm-hmm. And they were carrying them like in big cities, like Arusha, Tanzania. And John asked our driver, what's in those cans? And they said, water. They have to bring water to school? Yes, there's no running water.
It was just hard to believe that many people were out carrying water to and from wherever they were going, or to get the water. And it was shocking. My wife and I, we've traveled quite a bit even before this, but mostly a lot of impoverished countries in Mexico, South America, Central America. So we'd seen poverty, but we'd never seen water poverty like this. This was something that was new and different. And it was really kind of a weird relationship, because even though we saw all these hardships, the people were incredible and fantastic and happy and smiling and joking and playing, and amidst this horrendous burden that they had of especially the women collecting water every day.
Well, you had mentioned something. It's not like this was hey, we're going to cross the street and pick this up, right? Several hours a day was involved carrying water. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's very, very, very fair. So a lot of these girls that we had met at the schools, they get like about 4 a.m. and they'd walk, an hour and a half, 2 hours to typically it's a dirty pond. They would collect this dirty, nasty water, bring it back to the house, leave some at the house, but then they would actually carry another jerry can to the school. And so they come back, they, get ready for school, and then take, they call it a matatu, like a little tiny bus, like school bus. And they, would come to school. And the day that Nicci's talking about, where I asked our bus driver, these 6 or 7 kids got out of this little tiny bus, and 3 were boys, and then the 4 girls. And the boys jumped out, and they're just horse playing and having a good time. And then the girls get out, and they have their books, their backpack, and they each had a jerry can. And these jerry cans weigh 42 pounds, and these girls could not have weighed probably not 100 pounds, probably 90 to 100 pounds. And they just put it on their heads, and they just started walking and joking with each other, and off they went. And again, we're in a big city. This is Arusha, Tanzania. It's probably the 2nd or 3rd largest city in Tanzania. And they were bringing water to the public school
in town.
And it was hard to believe if you just didn't see it. And it's not like we were out looking for it. I mean, it didn't matter where you were at. This was everywhere. And so, yeah, that was eye-opening.
It was really incredible. We saw a milk vendor. It clearly said milk on his truck, and he was in a dirty water source washing his containers out from milk in this filthy water to prepare them to refill them with milk for delivery. And we'd see lots of kids bathing, lots of naked little African kids, and there'd be a motorcycle down the stream from that they were washing, or women were washing clothes the same times that they were bathing, so.
And the cows
would be defecating in there as well. And animals would be drinking. It was just absolutely mind-boggling that this was their water.
Well, I've seen pictures of stuff like this. We're talking like brown mud type water. Is that what we're looking at here?
It is, yeah.
With garbage floating in it.
Strong smelling. You can't see through it. Yeah, I would have brought you a visual, but I didn't think your audience could see.
But imagine if you're on a hike and you have your dogs with you, and you saw this pond. You would not let your dogs jump in the water, play in the water. You just wouldn't, let alone drink it or touch it, anything like that. It was that nasty. You would honestly not let your dogs either play in the water or drink the water. You'd avoid it.
So some of the things you were seeing, or that was a part of the culture then, were the side effects or from the dirty water. Like, what are some of the health, like what was going on with the health?
Yeah, so we visited a lot of little hospitals and clinics, and the amazing thing was over half the beds that were occupied in these hospitals and clinics were occupied by people who had some sort of gastronomical anomaly. That they were sick because of the water that they were drinking. And so obviously the thought comes, boy, if you could fix the water problem, then half of these beds would become available, and they could really focus on other issues. But it hasn't been fixed. It's not fixed quite yet. But that became the beginning of the fight that we continue to fight.
So quite eye-opening, because we take water for granted here in the United States. We think that water is a right, clean water.
Yeah.
Clean water is a right, which is absolutely false too. Here in the United States, we have a lot of things happening in our water, but I can't imagine having to bathe, drink, and cook in this filth with my little family. It just breaks my heart. Yeah. And so as it affected you, you came home, and what happened next?
Yeah, so it was really on the trip home that I decided that, let's do something. And again, the thought that had been percolating was, if you can fix the water problem, then by default you fix half of the healthcare problems. And if you have clean water and good health, then now you have the opportunity for, to create opportunity. The girls can go to school, the men can go to work without the malaria, and commerce can start happening. And so that actually became our acronym, Water, Health, and Opportunity, which became Who Lives. So that's how it all started. And our three focuses have always been on water, then health, and then creating the opportunity. And so, but like, tens of thousands of other people who have taken these trips and have seen these conditions, they want to help. But the problem is, you have no idea how, right? And we were in the same situation. I had no idea how to solve the problem. And but we knew we wanted to do something, and that's where kind of the second stage started to happen, and not knowing what to do. And we visited a little town in Tanzania where they had this great little red clay topsoil, kind of like we have in southern Utah, and they would make these bricks out of, to build their homes. The problem was they had no way to press the bricks, and so when it rained, the bricks would just start melting. So this whole community had these beautiful houses, but they looked like gnome houses that were kind of melting down. We thought, so that was like the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, hey, can we help fix the this brick issue? So I literally just went to my computer and I typed in, brick making machine. And one of the first articles that came up was that through a capstone program at Brigham Young University, they created a brick making machine. Well, that's convenient. It's nice and close. So I gave them a call. And the guy that was in charge of the program, the capstone program, happened to be on vacation. And so I left my name and phone number with the secretary. The secretary gave me the professor's phone number, and I called him. It was a funny phone call because I called and introduced myself. He says, well, I only got a minute because I'm in line for the Matterhorn. And so, and I don't know why I remember that, but I said, hey, I just want to know about this brick making machine. And so he quickly gave me the name of the organization that sponsored that project. And that was the length and breadth of our conversation. We hung up and that was it. But now we're going to fast forward about 2.5 months. And this is where the next miracle, I guess, happened. And that is in the middle of the night, I have, this very, very strong, dream, and it wakes me up. And how dreams are, they fade kind of quickly, but it was strong enough that I kind of got out of bed and I went to our dining room table, and there was some paper on the table, and I just kind of drew out what I could remember from this dream. And I knew intuitively that it was a drilling machine. I didn't know exactly why or how everything fit together. I had the general concept, but I drew it out and then went back to bed. So, and then the next morning, kind of a follow-up miracle happened. And somehow my phone number that I gave to the secretary 2.5 months earlier must have made it to the top of the desk of the person I called. Now, it didn't have any notes on the paper, just my name. And again, he's in charge of bringing businesses to the university for the engineering students to work on real life projects. So he calls me, and his first question is that he's calling from the university, and he wanted to know if I had an engineering project for their kids to work on. And of course, my first thought is, why is he calling me? It didn't even dawn on me, the phone call that we had 2.5 months earlier didn't even dawn on me. And so, but, having that, I just had this vision or dream the night before, I thought, oh, you know what? I've been thinking about, creating a human-powered drill to use in developing countries. Now, I didn't dare tell him that I had the idea last night, but we left it at that. And it was kind of crazy because 2 or 3 times we almost hung up on each other because they were really looking for engineering firms. And of course I wasn't. Right. And then they're looking for deep pockets, which, we weren't a big business. And so, but something caught his attention. And so he decided, well, I'll tell you what, come in this Friday and pitch it to our engineers, our staff, and we'll see if we'll accept your project. And they choose around 30 projects a year. And so now at this time, I'd never even seen a well being drilled before. So I had no idea what drill string was, or a Kelly bar, or bentonite, any of these terms. I had no idea. But I spent the next 3 or 4 days just literally studying all about drilling, so I didn't look like a complete fool when I went in front of these professors and these engineers trying to pitch this idea. And so the day came, and I went in and pitched the idea, and thinking there's no way they're going to do this. This is just too far out. But they called me the following Monday and said, okay, you're in. We'll take your project.
Oh, way.
And I'm like, oh man, this is really going to mess with my life.
Wait, so how much time between? We have Dream.
Yeah.
You called. Was that 2 weeks?
No, one day. The next
No, I
day.
know the next day you called, but
Yeah.
like to acceptance.
Oh, it was just the following Monday or Tuesday, so just a few days. Yeah, they just talked about it. Yeah, and so this was midsummer, and so the school year starts in late August, and so this was so we had to have a plan together in mid-August to present to the students and say, hey, this is what you're going to be working on for the next 7-8 months. And so it took a lot, but it just came together, so we're there at BYU, and we started our classes. They assigned like 6 to 7 students on each project. So I had 6 or 7 students, and they would work 2 class hours a day for the full week for 2 semesters. And this is part of their final grade. And so, so we get together with the 7 students, and we just start talking about what we want to do. Now, the great thing was none of them had drilled before. None of them knew anything about drilling. And so, so at that point, we all like, whoo, yeah, the piece of cake. Let's do this.
How hard could that be?
How hard could it be? Exactly.
So there was no one there to tell you no.
Yeah, there was no one there to tell us no. And so we just started, just working out. I would meet with them typically maybe just once a week during this time, and let them do their thing, during the week. And they would, call and ask questions, or I'll call and ask for updates. But it was every day that they were working on this project, 6 or 7 people, for the full term. And so, so that's where it started. And to skip all the way forward, to the culmination. Now, during this time, as you can imagine, there was a lot of naysayers. Once we started realizing what we were trying to do, and everybody from if this could have been done, it would have been done decades ago.
Sure. Yeah.
If and
who do you think you are?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Wait, you're a finance guy, a real estate guy. What do you know about engineering? That's like nothing. We talked to drillers, and the drillers they really are, I think, as a whole bunch, just a great group of good, salt of the earth type people.
However,
they would talk to us, and they would look at their $500,000 $1 million machine, and they would look at our idea of this manual drill, and they would just kind of pat you on the back and say, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And they were nice, but you could tell they had no hope that this thing would ever happen, especially compared to their big machine. And so there was a lot of naysayers, and there was a lot that quite honestly we had to learn, and the students had to learn. Fast forward to, we are a week now, because part of the project is that you have to design it and then build it before the end of the school year. And so there's timelines that we have to meet.
a working model.
We had to have a working model, for them to get a grade. And so we were about a week away from having to have turned in a working model, the blueprints of a working model. And everything on the drill was working pretty well, except for the fact that we had not figured out how to remove the drill pipe. So when you drill, you have a drill bit at the bottom, and you start drilling down, and you add drill pipe until you're down 300, 400 feet, whatever it is. And then you got to remove that pipe along with the drill bit, and then you put in your pump and, to finish your well.
Yeah.
So we can go down okay. We just had no idea how to get it back out of the hole. And so there was we had a week to figure it out. And as I think Nicci mentioned a little bit earlier, I used to coach high school football, and I gave one of my little halftime speeches to these engineers, and I'm not sure they understood all my sports analogies. One for the Gipper just went right over their head. But I just told them, hey, let's just, for this week, let's just, let's use more inspiration, less perspiration. Let's think about it, and let's see if we can figure out how to, figure this out. And I says, worst case scenario, we'll grab a cherry picker, which is a machine used to lift engines out of a car. And we'll just, bring a cherry picker out there and do it the slow way. And so we are now at Friday, and plans are due. And I haven't met with them for the entire week. And I get a phone call from the group, and they say, hey, are you near your computer? Yeah. Dial into this URL. And we got something to show you. So I dialed in, and I clicked enter, and the picture came up. And quite honestly, I just started to cry, because I immediately recognized it from my dream. And it was this cantilever part that we did not have until the very, very end. But that was the culminating piece that makes this whole machine work. And so
I've never drilled a well.
Yeah.
So the cantilever would hook onto the pipe that was hooked onto the bit that was 300 feet or so in the ground, and then you could leverage out the pipe, like slowly pull it out, or
So what the cantilever would do, it gives you a point behind the center point. And it goes up 12 feet. So the top of the cantilever is 12 feet high, and that's where the cable is attached to the drill string. So we honestly just used a winch, just a hand winch, like a boat winch, to winch it up. So we winch it up. Our drill string, as opposed to a big truck that has 20-foot drill string, our drill string was only 3 feet long. And so, we would, go down, if we were drilling, we go down 3 feet, unhook what's called a Kelly bar from the drill string, lift the Kelly bar back up, put another string on, and then drill down another 3 feet. You do that on average 42 times, and you're typically in an aquifer. And you just reverse that process coming out. You come up 3 feet, you take out the drill string, put the Kelly bar back down, connect it, pull it up, do that, again, 42 times. And now now you have your drill string and your drill bit out of the hole. So you can now use that on another well. And now that hole is prepped, ready to, put some
sleeve,
your sleeve and your pump into that hole.
Okay.
But everything gets reused, So, and just like a big truck, it's really identical, which was kind of crazy, because every small part on our drill, there's a matching part on a big rig.
But you came through it. You came through with natural discovery. It wasn't like
we had
you had no acclimation to the larger rig.
Zero.
That's
Zero.
amazing.
Yeah. So everything had to be.
Every time I hear the story, guys, which I've heard it more than once, I'm always like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother miracle. That's a whole nother thing that I had never considered. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And the idea for the cantilever actually came from our team lead. And as most great ideas, I think, come, he was in the shower. Yep. And this thought, just kind of hit him. And he was headed over to the university and to the class with the other students. And he
covered in soap and in his towel.
Yeah, probably so. And he explained to the team his idea, and the team just said, "Yeah, that's it. Let's do it." And they drew it out. And of course, it's hard to if we're just talking verbally, it's hard to visualize. But you have like a 4-foot rise, and then it cantilevers up at about a 45-degree angle till it's at 12 feet, and so it has to be strong enough to pull the drill string, all the drill pipe, and the drill bit out of the hole without collapsing. And so they had to engineer, all
light and strong.
Right? Yeah, it has to be light and super strong. And
so, what kind of weight would you reckon?
Yeah, so you would actually use it 2 times. Sometimes if you're just lifting out the the drill string and the bitch, you're talking a couple thousand pounds. But sometimes you get stuck. You have maybe a rock falls in or it caves in a little bit, and now you gotta apply like 3,000 pounds of pressure to get that. Yeah, so it's gonna be tremendously strong. Yeah,
okay,
it has to be tremendously strong. And but it's just engineering, and I'm just engineering. I couldn't do it.
No problem.
It's only science.
Yeah, just science. But that's one thing I just try to remind these kids that worked on this project was. It really wasn't. I think you kind of alluded to it. It's more than just mathematics. They had to. There was definitely inspiration there, and inspiration doesn't have to come just to people who go to church and things. Inspiration comes to anybody, but it takes that ability to look at a problem, at a project from an outside the box perspective and say, hey, how can we solve this? And that's sometimes very unique to engineers because they're wonderful at, I want you to do A, B, C, and D, and man, they'll do A, B, C, and D.
Right.
But to be a great engineer, what these kids were, you also have that ability to look outside and what could we do? What hasn't been done before, or what has been done that will work into this circumstance? And again, these college students, they're probably at that point, 20, 21, 22 years old, 23 years old. But they were smart and mature way beyond their years. I still think about that at the time. And I remember when I was at college, and man,
there was no engineering for me at college.
You talk about, in fact, when I was at that university, I had no idea where the engineering building even was. I'd never even gone near it, gone by it. Then again, I was there for 2 years, not knowing where the library was at either. So it gives you a sense of.
So you knew where the girls' dorms were.
I knew where the athletic dorms were at. I knew where the lunch line was at, and I knew how to get to the ski resort. So that was,
that's enough.
That was my college. Yeah, that pretty much encapsulates my college experience. But these kids were wonderful. They produced something that again has changed the world.
Right, and so they took the drill to Tanzania to test it with a lot of trepidation and anxiousness, and they started in a field, and the community gathered around. Anytime you have something out of the ordinary, there were people everywhere.
Yeah.
And they realized the importance of what they were doing, and they pulled the drill string out of the ground after drilling for a while, and water was there. And there were high fives, and there's a great video about this. It's BYU Village Drill. If you just put those keywords into YouTube, BYU Village Drill, there's a great 4-minute video about the whole process.
We'll include
how
that
it
link.
happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Super. Yeah. So it was life-changing, absolutely life-changing. It worked, and they found water, and they were able to develop it with a pump on it.
Yeah. One of the professors actually did a TED Talk on the whole process, Professor Matson. And it's one thing to have the technology, but then it's quite another that you have to get it from the U.S. over to, in this case, Tanzania. You have to have all the permits and permission. You have to find some place for it to drill, and you have to have people there that can supply, the items that you need. There's a litany of things that go way beyond just we're going to drill there.
Yeah.
The logistics to do this for the first time was out of this world, and the fact that I think we had 4 or 5 of the students were able to make the trip, and again we just to bring everything together was a miracle just in and of itself, and again at this point, I knew we were going to hit water because we had tested it out in the West Desert, and the ground's the ground, right?
Right.
You have soft ground, you got hard ground. It went through both rock and fine silts, so we knew it'll work. But that was a question that everybody always asked. Well, will it work in Africa? Well,
only one way to find out.
Only one way to find out. Yeah, and like you said, we had people in our neighborhood just step up and pay for a lot of the expenses that we had going
It
over.
was incredible. We had that drilling machine in our front yard
Yeah.
for a weekend. Come by and check it out. And shout out to Prospector Place neighborhood, which is right next to Bingham High School, because they came to our aid. I mean, kids knocked on my door. I just babysat. Here's $30. Story after story. That neighborhood funded that first drill and got it over there to Tanzania.
We had a teenager that had worked for his grandmother all day, and I think made $60. Grandma paid him the $60, and he came by and gave us that $60. A teenager,
My
It's not crazy.
Probably 14
we had some
years old.
kids plant tulips in somebody's yard and gave us the money from that. It's really incredible. And that neighborhood still every year does a fundraiser to fund a village well. They raise about $4,000 to $5,000 every year. I think we're in 9-10 years now.
Wow.
Way.
It's amazing.
I love one of the things I love about this is it's amazing how many people will show up if you give them the opportunity. It's so easy to look out at the world and be like, we're selfish, we're separated, we're different. Those guys over there. And then you have stories like this where people are showing up every year to serve people they don't even know.
Yeah.
The world is full of goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a special type of generosity when you give to somebody you'll never meet, right? So because you're just doing it, that's pure heart. And so, we're a grassroots organization, and that puts, I was going to say pressure, but it puts a responsibility on our shoulders to really take care of and be smart and specific on how we spend those funds.
Yeah.
And
It's a stewardship.
it is.
Yeah.
It really is. And we take that really seriously. Nicci gave me kind of 3 words this morning that really encapsulate who we are at Who Lives. Do you want to share that?
Now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of it. I can't think of it. It's in my phone.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. We we are very, very specific on what we do, and we have a responsibility to do that. And thirdly, it's purpose.
Focused, specific, and purpose driven.
Yeah.
There it is.
There you
So
go.
we are
There we are.
focused. We are,
They're very specific.
very specific and very purpose driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry for putting you on the spot like that, but
No,
it
that's okay.
it really she had heard that this morning and shared that with me, and I said, man, that really does encapsulate our mission and our resolve and how I feel about things and
yeah, John's a solver. He's not a let's put a Band-Aid on it. He's not a let's just talk about it. He's a fixer, and he wants to fix it. And unfortunately for me, I didn't actually join the organization until about 6 years ago because, like everything, I wanted to see if it would pan out, if this is something that was going to really happen truly. I mean, we talked a little bit about ADHD at another time, but my husband is so creative and has a mind that's always whirling, and I'm the more grounded I feel, the more planning, the more, well, let's have a job that has insurance for our kids, and so we're not on food stamps and type of person. And so I had to wait and watch and think, and I didn't really know the whole story about the creation of the drill until many years later when he really shared it with me. And I don't know if that was he was nervous about what I would think or if I would back him or not. But hey, I moved from Washington to Utah with my kiddos. I went back to work for 10 years for full time so that we could have a health insurance and those kind of benefits. And I'm in it for the long haul, and just to have something so amazing actually work. And now 15 years later, I mean, the numbers are incredible.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, just before we get into that, I want to kind of double back to what she says, because almost every entrepreneur understands that you have to have your family
On board.
On board, you do. And it took me a long time to figure some things out. for an example, it was me who had the premonitions that we needed to move to Utah. So it was easy for me because it was my premonition. Nicci didn't have that premonition, and yet she had the faith and the resolve to do that. I don't know that a lot of wives would have done that. Had she not done that, then this project goes to somebody else, right? And then even when we're here, and she kind of downplays like, well, I wasn't really on board for 10 years. But the reality was, and I'm embarrassed that it took me this long to figure this out. But I remember I was on a trip one time, and I was feeling a little bit, I was traveling to third world countries, living in third world conditions, eating third world food, and I was just thinking, next time I have a great idea, I want it to be a lounge chair for resorts, right? And so I can, and instead of
cold drink holder.
Yeah, exactly. And I was kind of feeling sorry for myself, and it was during that time that I realized the sacrifice that Nicci was making, because again, she did not have the benefit of knowing that this is something we have to do. It was something that I had, and for her to support it, and I don't blame her for questioning. And she was really kind about it. When we moved to Utah, it was 3 years before the idea of the village drill came. So we were in Utah. And again, it was only about twice a year, I think, that she would ask me, tell me again why we moved here. And I didn't know. I didn't know the answer for 3 years.
Wow.
Until the answer came. So then we kind of knew, okay, why we're here. But I was still not cognizant of the fact that it really takes more faith and more resilience on the person who is not involved than the person who's involved, because again, we have the benefit of knowing this is where we need to be going or the direction we need to be going. So it's more than her just not, taking her time to come on board. You have to have that in most cases. I mean, it would have been. I don't know that we could. I know we could not have done it without her support and her taking care of. At this point, we still have 5 kids at home. We went from a very nice, comfortable income, always writing checks to others, to as she mentioned, there was a point where we had put almost all of our money into this project, and so we definitely qualified for school lunches. Now, the other thing that goes along with this is her personality of saving. Even when we were doing well, she was one of those professional shoppers with couponers, right? Back in the day. And she was always one of the best dressed people at whatever event we went to, whether it was church or a wedding or a party. But I don't think she had anything in her closet that cost more than $10. She had no problem shopping at discount stores or even at the Goodwill, and she had no problem. And I know a lot of people that I know, their wives would have never have done that, worn somebody else's. And so there's a personality type within her that enabled us to do this. And so again, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, why your crazy husband is doing X, Y, or Z, or your crazy wife is going out, starting a boutique or something, have that faith and be supportive. And it's okay not to know. It's okay not to know. But
so when I heard this in your story, as I've heard your story before, I actually went home and told my wife how much I love her.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here today without her believing in me. And I told her when I walk out the door, I don't want to hear, I love you, because I know she loves me. I know she does. Clearly, she's stuck around as long as she has. What I need to hear is you can do it. I want her to believe in me because she's so smart that if she believes in me, I probably can do it, even when I don't know if I can. And so I can't understate what you just said. What a powerful message. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh, she's amazing. We love Annie. She's
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
She is amazing. Ooh, Annie, if you're watching, I'm not getting you anything for Valentine's Day.
And
Every
serve right
day is
there.
Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
every day is Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's funny. All right,
Yeah.
sorry about
Annie's awesome.
No.
that. She is awesome. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the drill again. Let's talk about the cost of the drill, because I saw a documentary that talked about people going in and putting in these pumps and these drills and helping these communities get fresh water. But there was it's very short-lived
Yeah.
that the pump would actually work. And so then they were back in the same place they were. In fact, sometimes worse because they've developed a habit of having clean water, and now they don't. And so the sickness was much worse. And so let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the first things we have to kind of touch on with the drill, and I guess we can just start with the cost. So the village drill compared to a big rig, if you can envision a bell curve, the village drill does much better in softer substrates than the large drill, because the large drill vibrates a lot and you have a lot of cave-ins and they have a tendency for the bits to get stuck, things of that nature. And then if you start going up the bell curve as the ground gets harder and you get more rock, you meet somewhere at the top where the village drill is superior to a big drilling rig. Then as you turn on that bell curve, you start coming down the other side, we're pretty equal. And then the harder the rock gets and the deeper the water gets, the more advantage the big drill rigs have. And so we can, from strictly how many holes can we put into the ground standpoint, we can do about as many. We do better in the soft stuff, they do better in the hard stuff, but it's about 50-50. The real advantage of the village drill is where we can get to. And because it is portable, and you can take it apart, you can put it in a back of a pickup truck, you can put it on a donkey cart and haul it to where the well needs to be. Because one of the big lies that we exposed was 70%, give or take, of the people who live in these developing countries live off of improved roads. So even if you had all the money in the world, these big rigs can't get to about 70% of the people. And
Huge.
Yeah, which is huge. So now they can go to the big cities, they can go right off the road, but getting to where most of the people live, they can't get to. That's probably the biggest advantage, that and cost of the village drill. It can get to, if you live there, because you can carry it by hand. If you have 20 people, everybody can just lift the part. The heaviest part's like 110 pounds, and it has 2 handles on it, so you can carry it to wherever it needs to be. We actually put it in a canoe and paddled up the Congolese River for 3 days to get it to where it needed to be.
Oh my gosh.
And that drill is still drilling today. They have over 40 wells in this community that doesn't even have a car or a golf cart or electricity for that matter. And yet they didn't have any clean water, and the people were dying off. And so now this location has over 40 wells that's put in by this drill. So it's obviously super portable. And then cost becomes a factor. As Nicci mentioned, we want to solve problems. That's one of the mantras we have at Who Lives, is figuring out how to make it to where you don't need the assistance anymore. And one of the things that we realize is that when the cost of a big rig is typically, let's just say on average, $20,000. In Kenya, it's closer to 30. In Ghana, it's closer to 15. But let's just say we have an average of $20,000. A village with 200 families cannot come up with the cash to pay for that. And so it has to be given to them, or at least mostly given to them. And again, one of the beliefs that we have at Who Lives is when you give something away for free, typically what you're really doing is you're creating more dependency. And so we wanted to figure out a way to remove that dependency. And so, Rob, as you mentioned, 85% of the wells that have been put in the last decade, 85% of them are dysfunctional. They're not working any longer. But because these wells were given to the people, their societal means is that they don't go out and fix it. They want the person who put it in to come in and fix it. And there's just some different cultural oddities. For example, if I say, well, let me go look at it and see if I can fix it. What the community hears is, I'm going to fix it. And when you don't fix it, they think, well, you lied to us, or this is a big scam, and so we're going to throw you in jail. And it's a little crazy. And we've had situations like that. And so things just don't get fixed unless there's ownership. Now, with the cost, once you own the equipment and you have a local company come and who's been trained on the village drill, and they put a well in, the average cost of that well is around $3,000 USD. Now, you take $3,000 USD and you divide it among, let's say, 100 families. That's $30 per family.
Right.
Okay. Now, what we'll do is that we'll give the community a loan for 10 months. That's $3 per family per month for 10 months. And now that well is paid for.
It's owned then by the community.
It's owned by them.
So that sense of ownership?
That sense of ownership changes everything. I mean, when I say it changes everything, I wish there was, I can like shout it louder or do some kind of exclamation point. Because when there's ownership, so many good things happen. Number one, when it breaks, they fix it. Number two, they'll defend it because it's theirs.
My well.
It's my well.
Yeah.
Number three, they don't have the jealousy that arises when an organization comes in and gives one community a well. How do you think the other 3 or 4 communities around there feel? They feel gypped, they feel mad, they feel entitled. And so they're going to attack that water source and either disable it or take it over, or there's just friction created. In our scenario, when a well goes into that community and the communities around there says, hey, we want some of your water, they say, hey, great, here's the guy's card, give him a call and he'll put one in yours. And it solves all those issues. It's all those issues.
Call it the community funded well program. Community funded well program. So they get a loan from Who Lives, and the families just pay $2 a month for 10 months, and the loan's paid back.
Well, now, sorry. Well, you were saying though that part of this being successful is you kind of had to remove your face from this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So technically, the way it works is that we actually give the funds to the drill team because they work, and so they get paid up front. The community actually pays the drill team. All of the drill teams are run by locals, whatever country we're in. If we're in Haiti or the Philippines or Kenya, Tanzania, they're run by teams that we have trained and or already have the knowledge on how to drill. So that drill team, that local drill team, goes to a community and says, "Hey, we'll drill this for you. And if you don't have the cash, which a lot of times they don't." They always pay a down payment, usually at least 10 to 20%. So they pay that to the drill company. And then again, each family, and it depends on how many families they are. If it's $2 or $3, depends on how many families there are for it to be spread out. But now so an adult working in most of these countries, about the lowest wage we see is $6 to $8 a day. So $3 a month for a family is super reasonable. Yeah. I mean, a beer costs $1.50.
Oh my gosh.
So you go without 2 beers that month and you paid your water bill. And also remember, after 10 months, it's done. It belongs to them. So they have the contract with the drilling company. Now the drilling company doesn't send the money back to us. It's their profit. It's their money. And they use that to go and drill the next well and the next well and the next well. So it always stays inside the country and allows for that growth. But now every community that wants it can get it, unless there's just no water there or it's too deep or something else. But 90% of the locations around this world can now get clean water for a fraction of the cost.
So Don didn't mention the cost of the drill. The drill is $35,000 USD, but one drill can drill up to 40 wells per year.
Wow.
Every year after year. So if you're paying $20,000 for one well, can you imagine that it would
Well, between that and the trucks that you can get in and out of there, you're not
Right.
drilling a lot of wells.
Yeah. So
That's
this first
absolutely
example was about the well itself. The second example is about the drill teams, right?
Mhm.
And again, so let's just say I'm a Western NGO and I'm raising money to put wells into these different countries, which a lot of them do, but then they have to hire a drill truck in one of these countries, and it's going to cost them, again, 15, 20, 30,000 or much more. We see bids all the time for 60,000, to a lot of these Western NGOs. So if I'm an NGO and I don't, and I can purchase a village drill for 34,000. So for the cost of less than 2 wells that I was going to pay somebody to put in, I can buy the drill, as Nicci said, and then I can myself put in 40. I can train my own team, use our trainers. But as an NGO, as a nonprofit, I can then, put that drill into work and drill 30, 40, 50 wells a year after year.
Yeah, we call that the Village Vitalization Program, the Village Drill Vitalization Program. So we actually have 7 drill teams that are have a drill that they've either purchased or are purchasing from Who Lives, that are in many countries. And because of this program, the community funded loan program, Africans are paying for their own wells. So in 2025, the number's higher than 100 wells that Africans have paid for themselves.
And that's just with one program. Now you got to imagine that there's 144 programs out there. We'll give 2 examples of.
So the numbers, we didn't talk the numbers. So we do have throughout the world, we have 144 drilling teams going on throughout the world in 44 countries. And many of those are owned by other nonprofits or NGOs, which everybody else says NGO. And so that is a lot of work going on. And with the innovation that John has also made with the village drill of putting a motor on it, they are drilling a well every 2 days in many cases. So
well, you had a couple of improvements, right? You were saying something about the drill bit itself.
Yes.
Yeah. Over the 15 years, we've had probably 5 major iterations of the drill, and everything from adding downward pressure by adding an 8-ton ram to put downward pressure and upward pressure on the drill, to a different way of designing the wheel so it doesn't it creates a lot less vibration, and then again, we've motorized it. We put a motor on it to where now you don't have to have a team of 6 people freehanding the drill. Now, each drill now is what we call a hybrid, because it still comes with the handles to spin it. It's kind of like a wheel of fortune. You spin it in a circle and it free spins. And so it comes with that plus a motorized, option, which includes a generator and everything. And when Nicci says it's 35,000, when you unload this crate, you can add water and you can start drilling. I mean, quite literally add water.
Oh my gosh.
And you can start drilling. You might have to buy a shovel and, some tarps or something, but everything to start a drilling team is included, and including training, if they need training. But anybody that has, it's called wet mud drilling. The process that we use is called wet mud drilling. Anybody who has wet mud drilling ability or experience can use the village drill. It never takes me more than about 2 hours to explain everything about how the village drill actually works. Everything beyond 2 hours are general drilling practices. Where do I drill? How do I know when I hit water? How do I, what do I do when the bit gets stuck? All these other things that are general drilling principles. But as far as learning how to use a village drill, 2 hours.
Easy.
Wow.
Easy. 2 hours.
Wow.
And that was, and then making it to where it's just bulletproof. Nicci mentioned it was 15 years ago that we call it 001. We put the first village drill into practice. It's still drilling today, over 15 years later. It's still in operation. We've overbuilt this monster, and yet we've done it in a way that it could still be hand carried. and it still can go
And
through the
on top of that,
substrates.
we don't know of any wells that aren't working, that are derelict, that
Yeah.
are non-functioning.
We assume that there are
We
wells out
assume there are some, but we've never
You
come
don't know about
across
them.
any of them.
Nowhere near the 85% failure rate that
It's
other organizations have.
Well, that was
And what about, the payback? Like, what's the rate at which these communities are paying back the well?
Yeah. So if it's one of our organizations through what Nicci had mentioned, the Village Vitalization or the Community Well Program, we're well over 75% of those paying back. And the reality is a lot of it comes down to collection methods. And if you don't ask for your payment, then
You don't get paid.
then you don't
Right.
get paid.
Yeah.
And so that's part of Mike Anderson, been working with us for over 6 years. He's just an amazing person. And he's really in charge of delivering the ideas and delivering on the promises that we make. And he is very, very technical, and everything is numbers and checklists, and everything is checked off. And quite frankly, if you're not collecting on your loans, then we're going to be very, very shy in giving you a new loan for a new community unless you put these steps into place.
And whose onus is the collecting on the wells?
It's always the drill team, because
Okay.
that's who we're actually giving the loan to. Technically, we're giving it to the drill team, or the advance to the drill team. And so now we have a couple of these drill teams, and we're learning along the way what works for different communities. We have one group out of Uganda that's put in several hundred wells, and they just have, I shouldn't say they have no problem collecting, so I'm sure it's an effort, but it's an effort that they have down, and they just collect, no questions asked. We have others where we had to give it to the wife of one of the owners of the drill, and she started calling, and they went, I think from like 30% collection to almost 75% collection. And then, we've introduced a cutoff switch. And so, which we've never had to do in the past. And so now if they don't pay, we can literally, cut off the power to the pump. Now, again, this is assuming that it's a electric pump. And that's changed. When we first started this, maybe 15% of the pumps that we put in were electric pumps. Now, probably 85% of the pumps we put in are electric pumps, and the 15 are hand pumps. And so the world's changing. Electricity is becoming more popular. But that way, and again, because it's not like they don't have the money. Remember, $3 per family, $2 per family per month for 10 months. They have it. It's just, where do you choose to do it? And when the and in a community, we have all, we encourage them to have all these other practices, like, hey, if somebody actually can't afford it, it's a grandmother whose children have died and they're raising 6 grandchildren, then okay, then give her a break. Okay, let them make jewelry, and we'll sell jewelry at the open market to pay her $3. 3 necklaces a month would pay her bill.
Yeah.
And so we're very, very creative so that people can make them. And as it's become, and again, we just improve on that every year. We improve and improve and improve. And a lot of that credit goes to Mike Anderson, who's just done a terrific job in promoting those efforts.
I love this story so very much. As you are, can we do a pause really quick?
Yeah.
I kind of want to do this in 2 parts. Your story is, you've got 3 chapters easy of story, and this is such an important part of the story that I don't want to diminish just this part. This is important. As I thought about what we did last time, what I want to do is kind of have a call to action on this.
Okay.
You guys follow me on that? And
Sure.
kind of bring this to a close. And then I would like to get into the second part, which is, now that we have water, how do we create commerce? And then from there to the female FGM.
Yeah.
Because it was such a big
Yeah.
bite.
Let's talk about our projects page on our website and things like that.
Because I feel like
People
this
can
is a
pick
tool.
it. They can see the pictures and
I don't want to lose them, because they're
Yeah.
going to be like, wow, there's so much happening. What do I even do? I want
Right.
there to be a call to action on this.
that's awesome.
You guys cool with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
So now we have clean water that's coming into the community. You've got a way to collect the payments. We have a way to establish ownership. This is just a small part of Who Lives and what you guys are accomplishing. We're going to talk about this in another podcast. But if I want to get involved and be a part of this dynamic of creating clean water, how do I get involved?
Well, let me start with what your investment actually does, and then I'll let Nicci talk about how to go do it. Our impact per dollar is just mind-boggling. There are a lot of places, a lot of great places to put your money, and in our area we have lots of theaters, for plays and museums. And let's say I want to donate to a museum, which is a great cause. But if I don't donate $5 to a museum, my impact is probably going to be, a 3 foot by 3 foot square of carpet in that museum. $5 that comes to Who Lives is going to give, 1 to 2 people water for the rest of their life.
For $5.
For $5. Yeah. So you figure, if you have a community, let's just use the number of you have a community of 200 families. Each family has 5 people. And so you if you break down the cost, and let's even take the highest, like at $4,000. So each family is going to pay $20 over 10 months. That's $2 per month. And that breaks down to, again, less than $4 per person to get water for the rest of their life. So the impact is mind-boggling, and by design. How to get involved? Nicci has she's come on board and really has made the process easy. And I'm going to put out that her idea on how to do this with our projects page. I said, no, I don't like that. Let them all donate to the whole cause. And she said, okay, and then did it her way.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's been a godsend. It has worked so
mentioned
well.
we're grassroots, so he was just happy to have people donate $4 or $5 a month. But if you want to grow your impact, you need to bring in more revenue. And Mike, again, he said we need to do a projects page, and I'm lucky enough to be responsible for that now. So if you go to wholives, WHOLIVES.org, just scroll along the top and you'll see our projects. And I'm updating those every couple of weeks. You can see real-time pictures of communities. You can read the narrative, real people. One I just read was Ronnie, 14-year-old kid. He can't go to school because he spends so much time collecting water. He is not getting an education. And luckily enough, a middle school in Idaho, Kimberly Middle School, picked his village to support. So they're currently having a fundraiser right now, which I think is amazing.
No way.
Yeah.
So here's my question. I just please consider me the ignorant audience.
Absolutely.
But you said that the community is paying for the well. Ownership is key in the success of the well. So if they're donating, what is it they're donating to?
So the pay it forward model, that's what they're donating to. Because honestly, when you look at those projects on our projects page, they're going to be funded and they're going to have a well. But what the people are doing is they're paying it forward for the next project, the next village, the next community, the next orphanage, rescue center, whatever it is.
Because the money has to come first.
It has to come.
And then the financing comes afterwards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll just pitch in here. There are certain circumstances where we deliver grants. For an example, if you're an orphanage and the cost is $4,000, there's no way that orphanage is going to raise $4,000. We will tell them that now when I say we, I need to reiterate, this is the local team,
drilling team
going to them, and they're saying, you know what, I'll tell you what, we've been given a government grant, just leave it generic, and we're going to charge you $400.
And they don't know their well actually costs $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
So we have a Green Valley orphanage, a 76-year-old mama with lots and lots of kids. And man, we just wanted to put in a water source for her. So I think she paid $700 for her water source.
Oh, wow.
And she pays back by selling the excess water to the community.
She does.
And that's how she pays it. And that's how she pays it back. A lot of people say, gosh, it's an orphanage. Why don't you? Trust me, the pride of ownership is such a key. It is such a key. And you don't want to rob somebody of that joy of ownership. And that's what we do. We literally rob them of their joy of ownership when we just give it away.
Well, and you created
full,
a revenue source for her.
Yes.
So now she's paid her $700. She's continually selling water.
In every case.
That would have never occurred if she wouldn't have had to pay for the well.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing about clean water, it's the impetus for everything else. So once you have clean water, your chickens lay more eggs. We'll introduce chickens, or your goats, or your bricks. Your bricks will hold up your house better with clean water.
Something amazing.
Well,
you have to have clean water to make bricks that are made out of mud. You can't use muddy water to make bricks.
What?
There you go. Things that you learn. So go ahead.
Yeah, this orphanage, she's like a role model. We love to visit her. She's had to reinforce her fence many times because people are breaking in to steal the water. Yes, and now she has new bathrooms with showers
Wow.
for her
way.
kiddos. First time they have showers, and we got to tour those in October. She's got vertical garden towers that are growing plenty, so much food that she can sell the excess. And she's able to be self-supportive now. Her children were trying to help her, but they live far away from her. And oh my gosh, you guys, if you could just see the impact of the water, what one water station can do, it is amazing. It's hope for a brighter future. It's not living day to day.
And I hope you didn't miss what she said. They're self-sustainable now. Up until this point, they had to rely on the kindness of others just to feed their kids.
So you're empowering them.
So we are empowering them, and we can go away. We could get disbanded or something could happen, and they still survive, and they still teach others how to do this. That's why ownership and commerce is so important to the success of all these programs.
So friends that it's listening right now, if you want to get involved, this is an organization that we support fully. Clean water is part of our sponsor's mission. It's something that I think is so very important in our world. Please get involved. And we've said this before, it doesn't matter who you support. Just support someone. And if you're going to support someone that's doing some really good stuff in the world. This isn't just about clean water, though. In the next podcast, as you listen on, you're going to realize that this clean water provides commerce. It provides opportunities that we haven't even discussed yet to improve the world. And so I'm so very grateful that you guys are able to come on our podcast and share with us. Is there anything else you'd like to add as far as supporting Who Lives?
I don't have anything else. If you just go to the website, you can watch beautiful videos. Of course, we have all the social media channels. We have a YouTube page. I mean, just immerse yourself in it. It will be a light for you for your day.
I'm going to add just one thing, because Rob, you and I have had this conversation before. There's a lot of struggles with our young kids today. And part of that, I believe, can be solved when our youth are involved with helping others. And we've a lot of empirical evidence that a child who is helping other people, who are doing something to help other people, they're much less likely to bully other people, and they're much less likely to be affected by being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
They can handle it so much better. And so if you can teach your kids, and we always say, we're not looking for you to donate your allowance. What we're looking is, can you go without something and give that extra to somebody in need? So, you play soccer on Saturday and you go out to lunch. Instead of giving a soda, take that $2.50 and forward it to Nicci at Who Lives, and she'll make sure somebody gets water for the rest of their life with that $2.50. Don't not go to the movies, but maybe go to the movies without ordering a popcorn. Well, there's $12.50 right there.
No kidding.
That's a whole family that can get water nearly for the rest of their lives. So again, go to the movies, have fun, but find ways to go without, and then we can be a great conduit for putting that to great use. And you'll empower your children to become stronger and more self-reliant.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a first part of a multi-part series here. You know the drill. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll pick up right where we left off on the next one.